Hello and welcome to Africa Beyond Borders. I am Seraya Mentor, your presenter for the show, and this show is all about celebrating Africans and people around the world who get to experience Africa and beyond. Today's guest is Katharina.
Hello, how's it going?
I'm doing good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very good. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited you're here. So today, we're just basically going to find out about your adventures around the world and what lessons you've learned and interesting stories that you might have.
I have a lot of stories to tell and so many lessons learned because I feel like every place you go, you learn a new lesson, you meet new people and they stay with you forever.
That's so interesting. I'm excited to get to know you more. Firstly, you were born in Germany, right?
Yes, I'm German by birth. My family's German. So.
That's so cool. When did you move here?
Well, I'm here on an internship currently. I did one previously, I think 4 years ago, and already back then I just fell in love with Namibia. I love this place so much. It's a beautiful country, beautiful people, and I just thought, man, I have to get back here, meet my friends again that I made all this time ago, and I'm just really happy to be here again.
Yeah. Well, you told me that you traveled to so many countries you don't even know how many they are. But if you could estimate a number, what would you say?
Oh, that might be maybe 15 or something.
What?
But the truth is, if you live in Europe, and I mean Germany's right in the middle of Europe, you know, surface-wise, it's not that big and the countries are pretty close to each other. So, you know, you'll naturally just be in the neighboring countries every once in a while. I think every German has probably been to Austria or Netherlands at some point. And also, like, we do school trips in high school to, say, we did one to England because I had, like, English as my main class, so we would go to London. That's just, Europeans, they like traveling and they like, you know, visiting their neighboring countries. They like trying out French food and Italian food and Spanish food. But there's still, like, a lot of countries I haven't seen, and I'm still, you know, curious
aiming to go to?
What is happening in the next few years, yes.
I actually have an interesting question because you mentioned food. What was it like adapting to different countries' local foods coming from Germany?
That's actually such a good question. I feel like it depends on where you're going. For example, I mean, in the US, like, American ways of life have already come over to Europe. So I feel like as Europeans, we know so much about the USA, even if we have never been there. And we'll know the food, we'll know the type, but especially going to different continents where we don't have that much, you know, exchange or contact happening, you know, it's a change. And I feel like I'm one of those people that always likes to experiment and try out everything and just take every chance you get to try out new things, try out new food especially. But yeah, I mean, I think some stuff you like, some stuff you don't, and I think you can also be unlucky sometimes with what you get. But I just love trying out new things, and I love also bringing back stuff to my home country, to my family, for example. Like if I hear a region has very good wine, I'll be like, Dad, I'm bringing you a bottle of wine or something.
Oh, wow.
And I'm always happy when my friends, when they travel, they bring me a little something just for me to see how they did and how their travel was.
That is so cute. If there's something that you had, like, in a country, it could be a souvenir, like a meal, what was the, like, peak moment?
That is such a good question. I actually have a hilarious story about that. You know, there's in Solitaire, this one place, they have this famous apple crumble thing that's like,
I did not even know
all
that.
Tourists are like, this is the apple crumble. So I went there once with my friend that visited me when I did my first internship here, and we traveled a little. And that was our, like, you know, laughing point whenever we spoke about our travels. We were like, oh man, the apple crumble. Because actually this apple crumble thing is actually, I think, even a German tradition. So when I was there the other day, I actually took an apple crumble and I took it with me to Germany to bring to her, which is hilarious because it was obviously completely dry and not fresh anymore when it got there.
Counts, you know.
Exactly. It was just for the joke, but that's something I would do, just some hilarious bringing along.
That's so cool. Oh, well, we're actually talking about this before we started recording. We just wanted to know, like, how is it like traveling so many countries and you make so many friends, but then along the way you maybe not going to see this person in the next 4 years? How do you keep your friendships, like, alive with all these people?
That's just such a good question. I feel like, especially in the beginning, I've struggled with this because I feel like you make so good friends in some places, especially in Namibia. I feel like people are very open-minded and open-hearted, and it's kind of easy. Yes, it's kind of easy to get close to a person here, and you know you'll totally miss them when you leave. So that made me very sad for a while. But on the upside, you know, good friendships actually stay with you, and it's. I've made a habit out of really staying in touch with people that I met along the way. And I'm lucky to also have these people stay in touch with me. So it's like a two-sided effort, of course. And sometimes, you know, some friendships just fall off along the way. But with the most people, I'm still in touch, like on social media, and we call and we text. And it always makes me happy. Sometimes I'll get a random call from a friend I met somewhere in the US, for example. And that makes me really happy to see people still thinking of me as much as I'm thinking of them. And that's just beautiful.
Now that we're talking about friendships, was there ever like a moment you felt like when you go to a new country, there's a totally new culture, new conversation types, new people, personality types? Did you ever feel like lost with your personality because you come from a different place?
I wouldn't say I felt lost, but I totally, like, you get this anxiety before you leave. And you wonder, like, will I be able to, like, find my way? Will I be able to, you know, find my circle of people, find my tribe, basically, not be alone while I'm there. And you always worry about, man, will I fit in? Will I find nice people? Because also you have to put yourself out there, really, in order to make friends. You can't, you know, just sit in your home and wait for friends to find you if you go somewhere new. I feel that. I mean, it's totally, like, it's so human that you don't want to constantly expose yourself to new things. But I feel like if you really want to find people to hang out with, you need to make the active step and go somewhere and talk to people and ask people to hang out, and then this will just follow naturally. So I do get a little anxious before I go somewhere, but when I'm there, I like the worry stops, because you realize, man, the people are actually so nice, and if you just make a little effort, you'll totally like find your way.
Oh, that's so cool. Like, I think it's just even you as a person, your personality is so open to meeting people, so I'm sure it was just easy to like get new people.
But that's also something I learned with traveling. I totally wasn't like that all the time. Like I was actually way more introverted, like when I was younger, and just traveling made me learn that you need to open yourself to people in order, you know, to even get in touch with people, and you need to expose yourself a little to whatever you experience in order to really make it a deep experience and take away from it. So yeah, I think I learned that if you go somewhere.
That's a powerful lesson.
Yes, it's actually the most powerful one. If you want to feel at home somewhere, you need to really like be a little courageous and open up to people and just speak and go, and that's something you learn.
And as an introvert, that's a high five.
And I'm still learning. Like everywhere I go is a new lesson for me, and that's just so nice to see how you can grow with experiences you make and with the people you meet. I feel like I've met so incredible people, and they taught me a lot as well. Like their life advice and just their personality like has helped me grow in ways I could never have imagined before.
That is such a beautiful gift to get.
It is, and I'm so grateful for that. Even like I know like traveling is also a privilege, and I try to, you know, always connect it with either my studies or internships to make it financially viable as well.
That is so smart. Please just share more information on that.
I mean, traveling is expensive. We need to talk about that, especially overseas travel, when you need to pay a flight. I mean, how are people going to do that? Especially young people, students, people that don't have a $1,000 salary every time.
Yeah, to help with like visa stuff.
Exactly, and I feel like, I think one good advice, something that helped me is try to link it to something that you can learn out of and maybe even earn out of in order to make it financially viable. I mean, I had this great opportunity to do a semester abroad from my university when I study in Germany, right? I did my bachelor's degree there. But they have this program where you can do 1 semester abroad. And if you choose one of their specific partnerships, basically they will waive the fees for the studying. So, for example, my university in Frankfurt, they have a partnership with the San Francisco State University, which means usually you would obviously pay a really high fee to do a semester in San Francisco. But because of this partnership, they'll say, okay, you're an exchange student and you don't pay the study fee because you're coming from Germany. So you basically have to pay your flight and your rent. But
which
you don't
would have done if you were still in Germany. I mean,
exactly.
Just an average person
it basically is like an average budget type of thing. Of course, San Francisco is more expensive than many cities, but then you can try to get scholarships as well. You can try to find a job while you're there to help you get through this. So I feel like really need to get creative as young people to be able to travel. But I think that's something you learn along the way, and there's always programs and things to maybe help you do that.
I really loved sitting here with you and just learning from friendships to how to financially secure yourself as a student. Basically like a cheat code.
It is.
To travel the world. I have so many more questions to ask you, but we're going to go on a quick break.
Hallo daar kijkers, mijn naam is Brian Munango, aanbieder vir Gooi Kolle.
My naam is Patricia Kutse en ek is julle braai-aanbieder.
Hallo julle, ek is Andrew Poelman, mede-aanbieder van Gooi Kolle. Ons sou wou ons dit's 'n bietjie van 'n braai tema inwerk saam met sportvooruitsigte van die naweek, so 'n bietjie sportpersoonlikhede bekendstel. So ons sien uit na ons derde seisoen.
En dan ook lekker kos op die kolle. Julle kan ons elke Vrydag om 12:30 op DStv kanaal 285 en GoTV kanaal 25 en ook op ons webwerf OneUp2.
Are you curious as to what is driving the cars world? Well, we are bringing you into the world of cars. Tech, trends, road trips, and the stories behind the wheels. It's fun, it's fast, and it's full of surprises. This is your ultimate cars companion. You can catch My.NA Cars every Thursday at 9 p.m. with me, your favorite passenger princess, Diana Master, because it's not just about the ride, it's about the journey.
And welcome back to Africa Beyond Borders. We're still here today with our guest Katharina. And just wanted to ask you, I heard that you met quite a few celebrities. Would love to know more information about that.
Right, so I do in Germany also work as a freelancing journalist, you could say, and one of my favorite focus topics is music, especially hip-hop, but basically all kinds of music, also rock, and maybe even a little country. So sometimes I get the chance to, for newspapers, inquire an interview with an artist that I think is relevant or interesting or significant. And sometimes you're lucky and actually get granted that interview. So I had the chance to do a couple of those interviews for German papers, such as, well, one I did was Shabuzi, who I think he actually just now broke the record for being at the top of the charts in the US for, I think, 60 weeks, 70 weeks, many weeks definitely.
Wow.
Yes, and I also had the chance to meet the rapper The Game, who I'm a fan of since basically I was a kid, so that was a little dream come true for me.
Wow, the little kid in you was like jumping.
Exactly, the little kid in me was freaked out really. Like I think I've been wanting to do that since I was maybe 14 or something, and you never think it actually happens, but well, journalism is a great way and a great job to actually get access to super interesting persons and super interesting topics and delve into that and really do research and meet those people as well. So that was amazing.
That sounds amazing. Now that you're like a journalist, actually, how did traveling influence the way you write and the way you speak to people?
It totally influenced it, like, because I realized when you travel, you realize how little you actually know about the world. Like, it really opens up horizons to travel, because I feel like if you sit at home, you have your own bubble, your own circle, and you learn how to live in that environment, and you know a lot about the environment you live in. But when you put yourself into totally strange situations and alien situations, you realize, man, I really don't know that much about the world at all. So having that as the baseline, like when I work as a journalist in Germany, I now try to incorporate that and really question myself as well, because I feel like we all make assumptions about life. We need to as well, and most of them are correct, but some of them are not. And so me writing about something, I need to constantly remind myself, well, is that actually the case, and why is it the case? And that is great, because traveling really teaches you things are different for a lot of people, and people live different, people think different, and they have reasons to do so. So I feel like I'm a lot less judgmental than I was before, because I realize, it's very easy to judge people for the way they think, but all of them have a life and a past that somehow led them to the way they live and they think, and that made me realize, never judge people unless you really understand like what made them the way they are.
Where they come
Just
from.
like I am in a certain way, and
Yeah.
people will only understand that if they know where I come from. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of respect comes from just holding back your own judgment for a little while. And I mean, you can still judge later, but just like
You're still
question yourself. Yeah, I mean, judging is fine to a certain point, but just
Yeah.
question yourself every once in a while why you think the way and why other people might think.
I think I might take that as I go out of these doors. Like, you don't know where someone's coming from, you know? If you're saying, while you're saying all of this, rather, what is one advice someone gave you from a specific part of the world that you took to heart?
Man, that's a good question. Well, when I was in San Francisco for my study program, I had the privilege actually to be in the field I was studying was American Indian Studies. In Germany, my field was
Indian Studies.
American Studies, and in San Francisco they put me into American Indian Studies. So it's basically the native aspect of American life, about the indigenous cultures and the history of these cultures. And yes, it was super interesting. And the most fascinating part was that one of my professors there was native himself, and he was just one of the most charismatic, impressive personalities I've ever met. And I learned a lot from him, a lot of wisdom he really gave me to take into life. And I'm really grateful for that. I really cherish that opportunity. And he said once, it's actually funny advice, but he said, whenever you go somewhere new, go there with your mouth closed and your hands in your pocket. And I think what he means with that is, like, when you go somewhere new, it's not your place, so you need to watch first, you need to observe. So don't go in there talking about how you know it better, just go in there and learn, like keep your mouth shut for a moment and just listen. And then with hands in your pocket, I think he means the respect you bring to a place that is not yours.
Yeah.
So you go in there not taking, because it's not yours. You go in there listening and observing and giving. So I really want to use that more in my life as well.
I hope wherever he is, he's living a good life, because
I do too.
that is such a great advice to take on with you. Now that we're like talking more deeper, do you have one thing that you take with yourself internally before you start traveling?
Oh, that's also a good question. I feel like everybody does it differently, and there's no right way to do it. I think, especially when you travel somewhere far, someplace that really is different from where you're from, I try to like read myself into it a little. Like I try to just get my basic facts right about a country, like just roughly like what's their history, what's their culture. And then I also try to just look into the news a little. Maybe that's just my occupational hazard, but just trying to see what's going on in this country. Like, what is their concerns? What is their current challenges? What are their worries? What are their good news as well?
Yeah.
So that I don't go in there blindly. But then also I feel like I'm a very spontaneous person, and I think a lot of value in traveling also comes from letting yourself get surprised a little.
Oh.
I mean, of course, you don't want to do any risky stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe you do, but I mean, that's totally a question
That's your
of
thing.
how you travel. But I feel like don't overthink it too much. Like don't over prepare, because you want to really expose yourself. You want to get like a real first-hand deep experience. And if you over plan, you're not gonna have this natural experience of just things happening to you. And I feel like you should just find the perfect mix between the way you plan and how your plan works out perfectly, but then also when the plan doesn't work, just enjoy the adventure, go with the flow and see what happens to you in a country that's not yours, and take that with you.
That actually happened to me when I started applying to go to South Africa. I literally made that choice in a span of 1 month. I was like,
Wow.
I was going to take a gap year, and then I told my mom, no, I think I want to go study. And then we spent 2 weeks. She came to me after 2 weeks with papers. I signed out the application forms, and the form went in, and I didn't even know what countries I was applying to. It was Morocco, it was
Wow.
Zambia, it was South Africa, and then South Africa accepted me first. And I was like, okay, that's the place I'm going. I didn't know
That
where
is
I was going to.
amazing.
I just knew this is where I'm going to end up.
Wow.
And like you said, it's one of the best flowing experiences because you learn so much.
No, that's amazing. I love that for you. And also, it's such a platitude, but the saying, like, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. I think there's so much truth to that, even though it's a horrible saying, like it's in all the calendars and it really annoys everybody.
Yeah.
But it's true, you got to plan for sure. I mean, you can't, especially if you go into really far countries, you can't go in there blindly. Don't be stupid, but still you know, enjoy what happens to
Research.
you. Like, you know, there's so much that you can plan, and
Yeah.
just love that. You know, don't be afraid of something you can't control, but rather embrace it and take the best from it, and, you know, be safe anyway. But
Did you always know you're going to travel as much?
I did not actually. I don't also
Oh.
know how that happened. It's not like I went in there like, oh, I'm going to travel
This is my
worldwide.
life goal.
Exactly. It's more like, you know, I have had the privilege of, you know, finding opportunities along the way, such as like with the internship that took me here. That was just like super surprising, super random almost. And then also going to the USA too. Like I was just lucky to be
Yeah.
at a university that has exchange programs.
Yeah.
The German education system is a very good one because you don't pay for university. It's basically free.
Okay.
So that said is like, you know, the access is very easy for many people. It's still, there's some total flaws in the system which makes it hard for some people to enjoy the education they should have. But in the general baseline, and especially compared to countries where you pay huge fees for courses and for everything, this is good because you can study no matter your background, or that's the theory at least, and sometimes it doesn't work.
Oh, that is beautiful.
That means, though, that me going to university and having access to exchange programs totally changed it for me, you know. And I mean, I was a little like you know, I was like very undecided if I want to do a semester abroad.
Yeah.
I don't even know for what reason, but then I was like, okay, the application deadline is in 2 weeks. I'm going to do this. And then you need to find all kinds of documents
Yeah.
to even apply. So it literally took me 2 weeks. And then the evening before the deadline passed, I put it in.
Hey.
So it was also super spontaneous.
Nah. I mean, that's what brought you here, actually. Just that step
Yes.
that you took. You don't know where you're going to end up.
Totally. And I feel like, you know, I've met some great people that are so courageous and so incredibly inspiring. And
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, the thing that changed it for me is like, if you're afraid, do it anyway. And, you know, just take the jump, because you're not going to lose anything by just take the leap and enjoy the experience and the new things you're going to learn. And you can still return to where you started if you don't like it. But, you know, just try.
Speaking about where you started, what's one thing that you miss about home? Doesn't have to be one thing, but like what's something that cannot replace home?
Well, it's totally family and my friends. Like, I don't even... I like Germany because it's a very privileged society to live in. There's many things you can do and get, despite all the flaws it has for many people. But I'm not that adamant about staying in Germany for the place. It's for me, it's the people, my family and my best friends over there. I really do miss. And I could imagine myself living in another country along the way, but I would make sure that I do keep close contact with my family and friends.
Yeah.
I want to have them
With
in my
your
life
roots.
and with me. So that's what I miss about home.
That is so beautiful to hear. Thank you so much for joining us in studio.
Thank you. I had a good time.
I had a good time. We're definitely going to have more conversations after this. But thank you guys so much for joining this episode of Africa Beyond Borders with Katharina. Do you have any sign-offs you want to say?
I just say get out there and look for opportunities, and if they don't find you, find them. Go out there, search.
Well, Katharina, thank you so much for joining us here in studio. It was lovely having you.
I appreciate it. I had a good time.
Well, happy to hear. To all the guests watching, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you guys soon on Africa Beyond Borders.